7170. The advantage of experiencing hypoxia in an altitude chamber is A. It helps pilots learn to recognize their own symptoms in a controlled environment. B. A person will be able to observe many hypoxic symptoms in several people at the same time. C. When a person hypoxic, air can quickly be readmitted to revive that person. The correct answer is A. An altitude chamber, also known as a hypobaric chamber, is a specialized facility used to simulate high-altitude conditions. It allows individuals to experience reduced atmospheric pressure and lower oxygen levels that are similar to those encountered at higher altitudes. One of the primary purposes of training in an altitude chamber is to familiarize pilots with the symptoms and effects of hypoxia. Hypoxia is a condition characterized by a lack of oxygen supply to the body's tissues and organs, which can occur at high altitudes. Recognizing the signs and symptoms of hypoxia is crucial for pilots to take appropriate action and ensure their safety and the safety of others. Experiencing hypoxia in a controlled environment, such as an altitude chamber, provides pilots with a unique opportunity to observe and understand their own individual symptoms. By experiencing hypoxia firsthand, pilots can learn to recognize the specific physiological and cognitive effects that they may personally experience during a real high-altitude flight. This controlled environment allows pilots to practice identifying their own symptoms without the added complexities and hazards of an actual flight situation. It provides a safe and supervised setting for pilots to become more aware of their individual responses to hypoxia, enabling them to take timely corrective actions and make informed decisions during real-world flight scenarios. Training in an altitude chamber also allows instructors to observe and guide pilots during the simulated hypoxic conditions. This facilitates feedback and discussion on the symptoms experienced, enhancing the pilot's knowledge and ability to recognize and manage hypoxia effectively. Overall, the advantage of experiencing hypoxia in an altitude chamber is that it provides pilots with a controlled and educational environment to learn, recognize, and become familiar with their own individual symptoms of hypoxia. This knowledge is vital for maintaining flight safety and making informed decisions during high-altitude operations. 7147. Which procedure is recommended to prevent or overcome spatial disorientation? A. Avoid steep turns and rough control movements. B. Rely entirely on the indications of the flight instruments. C. Reduce head and eye movements to the greatest extent possible. The correct answer is B. To prevent or overcome spatial disorientation, the recommended procedure is to rely entirely on the indications of the flight instruments. Spatial disorientation occurs when a pilot's perception of their aircraft's position, motion, or attitude becomes inaccurate. It can be caused by various factors, such as limited visibility or unusual flight conditions. Relying on the indications of the flight instruments is crucial because these instruments provide objective and reliable information about the aircraft's orientation and movement. Flight instruments, such as the attitude indicator, altimeter, airspeed indicator, and heading indicator, provide essential data that can help pilots maintain situational awareness and overcome spatial disorientation. By relying on the instruments rather than their subjective senses, pilots can ensure they are making accurate judgments about the aircraft's position and motion. It is important for pilots to trust the flight instruments even if their sensory cues seem to indicate otherwise. Human senses can be easily deceived, especially in challenging flight conditions. By prioritizing the indications of the flight instruments, pilots can make more informed decisions and avoid the dangerous consequences of spatial disorientation. In summary, to prevent or overcome spatial disorientation, pilots should rely entirely on the indications of the flight instruments. By doing so, they can maintain accurate situational awareness and make informed decisions based on reliable flight data, enhancing flight safety. 7145. A rapid acceleration can create the illusion of being in A. Left turn. B. Nose-up attitude. C. Nose-down attitude. The correct answer is B. During rapid acceleration, such as during takeoff or a sudden increase in speed, the sensory cues received by the pilot's body may create a misleading perception of the aircraft's attitude. This can lead to spatial disorientation and the illusion of being in a different attitude than the actual orientation of the aircraft. In the case of rapid acceleration, the sensation of being pushed back into the seat due to the increased gravitational forces can create the illusion that the aircraft's nose is pointing upward. This sensation is often accompanied by a perceived shift in the visual horizon, further reinforcing the illusion of a nose-up attitude. It is crucial for pilots to be aware of these sensory illusions and rely on the indications of the flight instruments to accurately determine the aircraft's attitude. By trusting the flight instruments, which provide objective and reliable information, pilots can overcome the misleading perceptions caused by rapid acceleration and maintain control of the aircraft. In summary, a rapid acceleration can create the illusion of being in a nose-up attitude. Pilots must rely on the flight instruments to overcome this illusion and accurately determine the aircraft's true attitude. 7146. An illusion that the aircraft is at a higher altitude than it actually is produced by A. Atmospheric haze, B. Upsloping terrain, C. Downsloping terrain. The correct answer is B. When flying over upsloping terrain, such as an incline or a rising landscape, an illusion can occur where the aircraft appears to be at a higher altitude than it actually is. This illusion is produced by the upsloping terrain. The visual cues provided by the terrain can mislead pilots into perceiving an increased altitude. As the aircraft approaches and flies over the upsloping terrain, the upward slope can create an optical illusion where the ground appears higher in relation to the aircraft. This can give the impression that the aircraft is flying at a higher altitude. It is important for pilots to be aware of this illusion and rely on accurate altitude readings from their instruments rather than solely relying on visual cues. By cross-referencing the information from the flight instruments with the visual perception, pilots can maintain a correct understanding of their actual altitude and avoid potential misjudgments or errors in their flight operations. In summary, when flying over upsloping terrain, the illusion of being at a higher altitude than the actual altitude can occur. Pilots should rely on accurate altitude indications from their instruments to counteract this visual illusion and maintain precise situational awareness during flight. 7148. What effect haze have on the ability to see traffic or terrain features during flight? A. Haze causes the eyes to focus at infinity. B. The eyes tend to overwork in haze and do not detect relative movement easily. C. AI traffic or terrain features appear to be farther away than their actual distance. The correct answer is C. Haze has an effect on the ability to see traffic or terrain features during flight by causing all traffic or terrain features to appear to be farther away than their actual distance. Haze is characterized by the presence of fine particles in the air, such as dust, smoke, or water vapor. These particles scatter and absorb light, reducing visibility and creating a hazy or blurry atmosphere. When pilots encounter haze, the reduced visibility can make it challenging to accurately perceive the distance of traffic or terrain features. Due to the scattering of light by haze particles, objects viewed through the haze can appear more distant than they actually are. This visual illusion can cause pilots to misjudge the proximity of other aircraft, landmarks, or obstacles, potentially leading to hazardous situations. To mitigate the effects of haze, pilots should exercise caution and adapt their scanning techniques. They should rely on their instruments, such as radar or navigation aids, to supplement visual observations. Additionally, maintaining communication with air traffic control and other pilots can provide valuable information about the position and distance of other aircraft. In summary, haze can create the illusion that all traffic or terrain features are farther away than their actual distance. Pilots should be aware of this effect and adjust their perception and scanning techniques to ensure safe flight operations.